Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I had a voice radio, so today I'm showing you a new Pokemon card which is so good that it's actually already been printed twice in Japan, once in the Sun and Moon collection, and once in the Sun and Moon Strengthening expansion pack. We are talking about Pyukumuku, and I like saying that name so little, think of it like the anti-Araquanid, that I'm going to be referring to him as P-Dawg for the rest of this video. Now, he is a water type, meaning he will be hitting cards like Volcanion and Incineroar for weakness. Now, he is weak to grass, which covers things like Lurantis GX, and he can use Rough Seas, and heal 30 per turn, but all of that is irrelevant given the, frankly, fairly pitiful 60 HP. Although 60 HP does mean you can use Level Ball to search him out, and being a basic means you can use Nest Ball. Now, not saying many good things about him so far, there must be something that's good. And there's a couple of things. Starting with the ability. His ability means that when your opponent's Pokemon knocks him out using an attack, place 6 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. That sounds pretty good. Now, it must be the attack, so things like special conditions like burn, poison, etc. will allow you to KO P-Dawg without taking those 6 damage counters, but of course, most of the time it's going to be quite difficult to not KO him, what with the whole 60 HP. Although it means in something like Expanded, you can use Hypnotoxic Laser, but you've got to do little enough damage that he's in Hypnotoxic Laser range, but you don't actually KO. More relevant maybe would be abilities. I'm thinking Greninja breaks Giant Water Shuriken here, which will do exactly 60, get the KO, and not activate the ability. Now, we've also got the attack here, Continuous Tumble. 1 water energy, flip a coin until you get a tails. For every heads, you do 30 damage. So I suppose the question is, do you feel lucky, punk? Well, do you? And you use the ability and the attack together here. And the goal is, you want to get lucky on flips, while providing your Pokemon with a P-Dawg that they do not want to KO. Now, in terms of the attack, we don't have much in Standard to help this, but in Expanded we have 2 options. We have the Victory Flip Victini, which allows you to reflip if you don't like what you got. So if you got a tails, you can reflip to try and get a heads. You can get 4 heads in a row, and then reflip using Victory Flip Victini, trying to get 5 heads in a row. Although the chances of that are quite small, so I would not recommend that. Now, we also have the tool Trick Coin, but as I'm going to mention a bunch of tools in a minute, if you're going to use this, use Victini. You can't use them both anyway. Trick Coin states that rather clearly. Now, in terms of the ability, you're already placing 6 damage counters when you get knocked out, but we have ways to increase this. In Expanded, we have Rocky Helmet that will put an extra 2 damage counters on, and we've got Rock Guard, which will put an extra 6 on. And that is an ace spec, so it's the only ace spec you can play in your deck. You can only play 1, and that means you can't play cards like Computer Search, but of course being a tool means that you can use Eco Arm here to recover it a bunch of times if you wish, or I suppose you could use something like Double Puzzle of Time to go ahead and get it back. In the Standard format, we've got Bursting Balloon, which again is 6 damage counters, but only stays there till the end of the turn, and we've got Poison Barb, who will poison them. So really here, using something like Rock Guard or Bursting Balloon means that your opponent, if they want to do an attack that KOs P-Dawg, they've got to take 12 damage counters in order to do so. That is fairly absurd, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, if they don't KO P-Dawg, then you just sit there hitting for 30 times the number of heads that you can flip. I'll give you one example. Let's say you've got something like a Volcanion. Well, you hit 1 heads, you do 60 because of the weakness here. They hit into you and take another 6 damage counters. You've got a Poison Barb on P-Dawg, so they now take the damage from the poison, and they're at 130, and they get KO'd. This could be a lot of fun, and really here it is just the combo here. Now, there are partners for him. Now, I'm not sure exactly. I mean, any water deck, if you're playing Bursting Balloon, stick one of these in. So something like Greninja. Often you have to stall for a turn while you're building up some Greninjas on the bench. So why don't you just play one Pyukumuku? You're playing Bursting Balloon anyway. You're playing Water Energy anyway. Stick him in the active and try and get some cheeky damage, or your opponent has to take 120 to KO them. Or maybe you could actually play it in its own deck with something like Decidueye GX. Sit there spreading a whole bunch of damage with Decidueye, play a few basic water, some Pyukumuku and some Bursting Balloon, and just sit there with him as your attacker while you're spreading damage with Decidueye. There are things you could do to make this work, but here we are talking, well, in standard, it's Bursting Balloon, it's hoping you hit a whole bunch of heads. Obviously in expanded, you can use Victini and Rock Guard to have a far more certain and long-term outcome. So I am going to give P-Dawg 3 Wassies. It is not a great card by any stretch of the imagination, but what it is a card that can be teched into certain decks and give your opponent a very hard time. A card which is going to struggle to be a deck on its own, but could be a really fun tech in a bunch of decks. Now you know the deal, ladies and gentlemen. There is a comment section. Go nuts. Be nice. There are buttons to both like this video and subscribe to this channel. Could I politely request that you please use them both? You can find me on Twitter @TheWassie, and the most important thing as always is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.